What's up and welcome to Me, You, and Switch 2. I'm me, Tom Tate, and you're you, so let's talk about Switch 2. It is Friday, July 18th. Donkey Kong Bananza was released yesterday. I'm really thinking that this is, probably the most important Switch 2 game to date. I think Mario Kart World had the right mass appeal for a launch title, but for me, every console needs that early 20-plus hour single-player experience that you can really sink your teeth into. You might notice a difference in audio quality this week. I'm traveling, and I didn't bring all of my audio gear, but I'll be back next week with a real microphone and a real setup. If this is your first time listening, this is your podcast, 5 to 10 minutes. It's going to be quick-hitting news stories. I pour through hundreds of articles so that you don't have to. This episode will be spoiler-free. I've been trying to avoid spoilers at all costs because I'm away. I haven't played Donkey Kong Bananza in full yet, and I plan on picking it up this weekend. But with that said, let's blaze through the news. So first up, I have to recommend the Kit and Krista podcast. If you haven't listened to this one, it's hosted by two former Nintendo employees who used to host official Nintendo content. So the Nintendo Minute, if you ever watched that, they've done a lot of great content back in the day. They went out on their own. They started their own podcast, I guess a couple of years ago at this point. One of their recent episodes shares some personal stories and details of what it was like to work with Kenta Motokura, who is the producer of Donkey Kong Bananza. And I love the inside stories about the people who actually make the games, right? And what makes them tick and what informs their decisions. Really great episode. Drop the link in the show notes directly in this episode if you want to check it out. So many of the reviews for Donkey Kong are in. They're very good. Kotaku has a good review roundup post. Just some quick highlights. Logan Plant from IGN said Bonanza never stops pulling fresh ideas right off the vine over its 20-plus hours. Steve Watts from GameSpot said, as part of the launch lineup for the Switch 2, this nicely fills the gap for one of Nintendo's signature substantial single-player adventures, but more importantly, it's an excellent game in its own right and deserves to be mentioned alongside games like Mario Odyssey as among Nintendo's best recent work. That's high praise. Games Radar, we have Dustin Bailey, who said smashing things is fun, and Donkey Kong Bonanza understands that fact better than any other video game I've ever played. Forget about see that mountain, you can go there. Now it's see that mountain, you can obliterate it. Bonanza's destruction isn't just a flashy gimmick for the Minecraft generation. It's one of the best inventions Nintendo has had in years. Kyle Orland from Ars Technica, the byline for this, or the sub-headline is cathartic, punch-fueled land destruction is a great showcase for Switch 2 hardware. And then finally, Jim Norman from Nintendo Life said Donkey Kong Bonanza is an almighty reintroduction to the world of 3D platforming for DK, and arguably the Switch 2's first absolute must-play. The punching and crashing is a passing novelty that once you get your fill, quickly becomes just another way of exploring the wonderfully varied and beautifully presented layers. The Metacritic score is at 90. I don't typically care for Metacritic scores, but that places it below Mario Odyssey and below games like Astrobot. So we'll see how it shakes out when more reviews come in. I'm sure there are a lot of reviews for this game. Maybe some are pulling it down a little bit, but we'll check it out over the next coming weeks. If you're interested in the technical performance of the game, Digital Foundry actually has a technical review, which I haven't watched yet. There's been some talk of stuttering frame rates in docked mode, so I'm sure it covers that in depth. I love Digital Foundry, so I will definitely check this out when I get home. I also linked to an article in the notes to a Polygon article that this is really great. It kind of talks about how the post Breath of the Wild, post Tears of the Kingdom Nintendo design philosophies informed a lot of the decisions that were made for Donkey Kong Bonanza. Specifically, the players have that freedom and that the ability to improvise when you're solving specific challenges. The abilities kind of unlock a lot of opportunity in the game. It's a really good read. And I appreciate kind of that more critical view of how games are being made, specifically at Nintendo for Switch 2. Nintendo uncharacteristically, speaking of, shared what Donkey Kong looked like on Switch 1, where it initially began its development. So there's a screenshot that they showed of the game that has much less detail, less lighting effects, fewer items in the environment. There's a link in the notes to that. That is an IGN article if you want to learn more and see it yourself. Also from IGN, Nintendo says Donkey Kong Bananza will come to symbolize 3D Donkey Kong in a separate branch to 2D. So this isn't very much unlike or very much different than how Mario and Zelda have been treated over the years. So, we definitely have that top-down Zelda with Echoes of Wisdom and the Link's Awakening remake, in contrast with the 3D explorative Zelda that we have now. We also have 3D Mario in contrast with, let's say Super Mario Wonder, right? Which is a bit more of the 2D side-scrolling style. So it's very probable that we'll see another game in the style of Donkey Kong Country Returns or Tropical Freeze, as well as another 3D Donkey Kong in the future. Nintendo is definitely in full promo mode for this. Nintendo has a Donkey Kong Bananza rally towel available through the store for 650 platinum points. If that's your thing, you can definitely check that out. There's a crossover event in Super Mario Run, the mobile game. I honestly didn't know that was still supported, but if you haven't played that game in a while, maybe this is an opportunity to jump back in. Also, the credits of the game, this was an interesting headline, confirms some of the new voice actors for Donkey Kong and Pauline. The actress and musician Jenny Kidd is now voicing Pauline for its English dub. IGN has a link. I have a link to an IGN article in the notes if you want to learn more about that, and Donkey Kong's voice actor as well. I'm super eager to get my hands on the game. I will probably pick it up tomorrow and pour tons of hours into it. Again, I really don't want that ending to be spoiled, and I'm sure it will be a great payoff, a great finale, just like the Super Mario Odyssey finale, which was fantastic. So in other news, just some quick headlines. Drag and Drive, is getting a global jam demo event on August 9th and 10th for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers. So this will be a good opportunity to get a hands-on experience with the mouse-driven gameplay. I'm not super sold on this game yet. I have not used the mouse for anything yet, so I like the idea of just trying that out. I don't know. We'll have to see, but I'm glad that they're giving players an opportunity to just check this out and play it for themselves. I think that's how they're going to end up selling this game. Square-Enix is getting some heat for not having an upgrade path for Dragon Quest 1+2 HD 2D remake. That's a mouthful. If you want to play the Switch 2 version of the game on Switch 2 with enhanced graphics and any of the DLC for the game, you'll need to purchase that specific version, regardless of if you bought the Switch 1 version. You can play the Switch 1 version on Switch 2. You just will be playing it without the upgraded graphics. So a lot of games that have had a Switch 1 and Switch 2 version have had some type of upgrade path, whether it was for free or maybe like $10, $15. So this will not have that. So people are upset that they are forced to potentially double dip if they want to experience this game on new hardware. There is a dark Metroidvania-style Pac-Man game on Switch 2 from Bandai Namco. This is called Shadow Labyrinth. It looks very interesting. I haven't played it. If you're looking for something new, this might be worth checking out. Nintendo Life reviewed it, gave it a 7 out of 10. The full review is in the notes if you want to learn more about this game. Pokemon Legends Z through A will have a playable demo at Gamescom 2025 next month. Highly anticipated game for this series. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 is out, and they launched a Taco Bell collaboration video. I put a link in the notes if you want to check that out. One of my favorite bands, Turnstile, just did a quick collab with Taco Bell, so I'm not going to hate on this one. And on Nintendo's official YouTube channel, we've got a brand new Donkey Kong Bananza launch trailer. Have you picked up Bananza yet? I am jealous if you did. Hit me up on Blue Sky or Instagram. Let me know if you've been playing it or if you plan to play it. I'm at Switch2Pod. That's Switch2Pod with the number 2 on all the things. Switch2pod.com for all the links. If you're appreciating the show, a quick rating or review helps me to continue to grow. Sharing with a friend or your favorite Reddit, Discord community, it really goes a long way too. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. I will be back next week with better audio equipment. Much love. Now go play some games.